Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the live stream. Thanks so much for waiting patiently at the start there. Yeah, I've got lots of interesting stuff I want to talk about today. There's loads of cool things going on right now with the channel and just things that I've been up to. Some really cool things coming your way as well. So I just want to start off the way I always do with these live streams, which is just to check if this is all actually looking okay and sounds okay. So if you guys could let me know in the comments, that would be amazing. Ben, hello mate, how you doing? Joel, hello there boy. Joel, how you doing, dude? So yeah, first of all, I'm going to just jump straight to it. I've got loads of cool new features and things to the live stream this week as well. But the first thing I want to discuss, it dawned on me very recently, and by that I mean in the last couple of days, that we're halfway through October and I haven't done a drum cover in 2019 yet, which is mad. Normally I'll try and put out at least 2 a year. So yeah, basically before the year's over, I'm going to make sure to definitely post 2 drum covers. And I'm going to go back to my roots with them a little bit. So I'm going to be doing like a Green Day song and a Blink song. But I want you guys to help me pick which songs to do. I've got a good idea already, but I'd love it if you guys can give me some suggestions of a Blink song and a Green Day song to cover. Joel says, I look $1,000. Well, aren't you the charmer? But yeah, let me know what sort of Green Day songs and Blink songs I should cover. I'm thinking for Blink something like early-ish Blink. I was thinking like Dumpweed from Enema of the State, or even Reckless Abandon, something like that. Yeah, Third, what's up, dude? Oh, I'm going to come to your questions later. Thank you so much for submitting your questions. Holiday of Boulevard of Broken Dreams. That's a mashup. So I think, do you mean Holiday or Boulevard of Broken Dreams? So yeah, I'm going to go for something a bit old school with Green Day as well. Like I said, I really want to go back to my roots with these covers. Dumpweed is one, Joel. Yeah, I was thinking about doing that, man. It's a banger. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. So, in the community tab on the page a few days ago, I mentioned that I'm going to be doing this live stream and I asked you guys to submit some questions for me. I'm going to be getting to that later. I've got like a fancy new little feature for the live stream on how I'm going to answer the questions that you guys have submitted beforehand, but I'm still more than happy to answer as many questions as you've got for me today. Something I also put on the community tab recently was whether you guys would be interested in something that I called drummer survival kits, and 96% of you said that, like, hell yeah, you'd be interested. So this is going to happen now. Next month they're going to be available on the merch store, and the drummer survival kits are basically going to be these little boxes full of random spares and things that you always need at gigs that you always lose and people don't think to have spares of. So they'll be available from the merch store, and they'll be a good little Christmas present to yourself or just a little treat. I'll go into more depth about what's going to be in the survival kits once they're released. I'll do a video about it, and we can go from there. Joel says, I'm excited to be filming with you. I love filming with you, Joel. We're going to be filming some more videos. Joel and I are meeting up in November. We're going to spend a whole day, film a load of content for both of our channels, and we'll be able to go from there. Yeah, awesome. So, Christian Shipley, what's up, banger? Welcome to Paradise and all the small things. Dude, Welcome to Paradise is such a great track to play drums to, especially that like middle bit on the floor tom when it's going to the bell. It's so sick. Videos with Joel are good. Thanks, Ben. I love the videos that me and Joel do together. They're always so funny. We just make each other laugh so much. Christian, thanks for tuning into the live stream, by the way. It means the world to me. If you've got any questions about anything that you've seen on the channel or any drumming related questions, go ahead. Yeah, some good suggestions there. Welcome to Paradise. That's definitely going to be on my maybe list. All the small things, maybe not, if I'm honest. Probably want to go for one a little bit more challenging. But I mean, it's Travis Barker. It's all going to be a bit challenging, let's be honest. People like to hate on him, but he's such a legend. Talking of that community tab, there was something else I put out recently, which is about new merchandise for the winter. So I've decided to get some hoodies made. I'm going to be getting them made by the same guys who made the t-shirts. So I'll be traveling down there, probably doing some filming with them too. But there's going to be new hoodies available on the merch store as well, probably next month. round about sort of mid-November, I reckon, the same time the survival kits go up. So there'll be loads of cool stuff for you guys there. And it really means the world to me when you guys order stuff from my merch store, because obviously I'm a very small creator and I do this full time as well as being a drummer full time. So that stuff just helps me make more of these videos, and that's pretty rad. So thanks so much. New stuff happening everywhere. New merch, new drum covers coming out. Something else that's really exciting. I've recently got a new job, so I'm now a drum teacher at a music school called All Star Rock School, which has been amazing. We're like 3 weeks into it now, and it's like a sort of, I say all ages, it's from people like aged about 7 to 18, and we get them in groups. So I teach all the drummers. We've got Josh Locke teaching guitar, and all my buddies teaching the other instruments, and basically we just teach people how to play and how to perform and how to be in bands. We have like an hour of tuition and learning tracks, and then an hour of teaching them to perform as a live band, and it's amazing. So currently we're opening up schools in Suffolk and Essex in the UK, and the intention is for it to be nationwide. So there's going to be schools opening up all over the place. So if you guys are interested wherever you're from in the UK, keep an eye on this page, because if one comes up near you, you may have the chance to come along and I'll be your drum teacher and we'll get to know each other, and I'll be able to help you guys be better performers. Joel coming in with all of the office quotes here. I like your little beard. Thanks, mate. I need a shave. But yeah, All Star Rock School, it's amazing. So yeah, check it out online. I'll find the website for you guys so I can share it so you guys can have a look. It's going so well so far, and it's just nice to like be teaching in groups. I love teaching. So for those of you who don't know, as well as YouTube and being in bands and stuff, I am a teacher. I mainly teach privately. I also teach at a primary school, but now I teach as part of this rock school, which is awesome. So I'm just finding the website for you guys so you can check it out if you are interested. Boom, here we go. So the website is linked in the description there. Check it out if you want to. I've got some viewer questions. I'll probably get to those next. I love it when you guys ask me loads of questions. One of the main reasons I like to do these live streams is just so I can get to know you guys more. And it's just nice to get to know your audience and connect with them more. So basically I put out a thing on the community tab on YouTube and also on my Instagram and Facebook, and asked you guys to ask me some questions. So I just picked a couple at random here, and I thought I'd answer them on the live stream for you. So first of all, let's take it away. So this, like the swanky new little setup here. So we've got subscriber questions, and here you can see from subscriber Third. He wants to know my favourite drummers, how to improve your technique, and how to become better in general. So this is awesome. I love this question for many reasons. This kind of comes into play with everything I've already discussed. So let's be honest. For me, all of my favourite drummers are really just the drummers that got me into drumming when I started, when I was about 13. So people like Travis Barker and Trey Cool, people from those sorts of bands. Yeah, I love that. Those sorts of bands is actually what made me pick up drumsticks and want to become a drummer. Just all the classic pop punk bands and nu metal bands, and in recent years it's more like educational drummers that I've been really fond of. So people like Mike Johnston, absolutely love him, man. He's got so much personality. He's an amazing teacher, and his YouTube channel's banging. As for how to improve your technique and how to become better in general, I'm going to answer these two questions sort of in one answer, really. The best way to improve as a drummer is just to be really honest with yourself. So it's really easy to get into a sort of a stage of your playing where you're really within your comfort zone, and it's really hard to go further than that because you're not willing to push yourself. And sometimes you just have to be really honest with yourself, really look at your own playing and find what parts of it actually need to be improved. So one great way of doing this, it's something I do all the time, is I'll just sit behind a kit for an hour or so and just jam and just play things and experiment with new things and record it on my phone. So I'll film it on my phone. Excuse me. And then what I'll do is I'll watch it back and look for any little imperfection and try and work out how I can fix that. So for example, let's say I film myself, I'm reviewing it, and I realise that my my non-dominant hand, which for me is my right hand because I'm a left-handed drummer. Let's say my right hand is just a bit weak, and when I'm doing fills or accents or ghost notes, it's just a little bit sketchy. So then I'll take that aside, and next time I sit behind the kit, I'll just work on strengthening my right hand and just sort of like improving it and trying to get it to be as good as my left hand. Now, I'm quite fortunate here because as I am a left-handed drummer, I tend to teach all of my students who are right-handed, and I'll play right-handed when I'm teaching them. So I'm naturally building that up all the time, and that's really improved my drumming. So hopefully that answers your question, Ferd. Thanks so much for submitting that. I really appreciate it. One other thing, just an overall, it's good to remember that, you know, there's always going to be room for improvement. Even the people you think are the best drummers in the world have areas where they can improve. So don't be ashamed to admit that there's stuff that you need to improve, and just own it and just like enjoy the learning process. Christian says, that's awesome, and I can truly appreciate that you are teaching the next gen of drummers. I learned that my uncle when I was merely 3 years old, 43 years later, and still learning more all the time. Exactly, man. We always learn. So a good way of looking at it is, let's say this is our graph, okay? This is where we all start out, and this is our heroes. We're all just somewhere along this line. So even if you're only here, you can look back at this bit and think, wow, I've come so far. But you can't get discouraged thinking so many people are up here, because you can look at that as to think, I've got so far to go, and I've got so much inspiration to look out for, and so much stuff to improve on. And that's my outlook on it. I'm not the best drummer in the world. I have millions of things I need to improve with my drumming. So yeah, Ferd, hope that answers your question, dude. Let's move on to question number 2. So this comes from Andy Allen, who's a frequent commenter and supporter of the channel. So thanks so much for submitting the question, mate. He's asked me, how do you do steady double bass, and what type of pedal should I get, and standard spring tension? Right, so let's break this down into all its different elements. Joel, if you're still watching, you might be able to help me answer this question. So personally, Andy, I've never been a double bass drum player. It's just not me. I've never needed to use it, but when I have done it, it's not... To keep it steady, I guess, you want your less dominant foot, which for most people is their hi-hat foot. So for most of you guys, your left foot. You need to just make sure that foot is as good at playing as your right foot. So a good way to practice that is to set up your kit left-handed and just practice playing drum beats with the kick drum on your left foot, and strengthen it up, and just make sure it's just as familiar with patterns and grooves as your other foot. And then what you can do is also try and do exercises that you would do with your hands to keep steady, but with your feet. So you could put on a metronome, say start at like 60 BPM, and just try and do semi-quavers, so 16th notes with your feet, 1 E under, 2 E under, 3 E under, 4 E under, and do about 20 seconds of that, then go up 5 BPM and 5 BPM and keep going, and just try and steadily get faster. You don't want to run before you can walk. As for pedals, because I've never used a double bass drum pedal, I would say maybe just do some research on YouTube for it. I know that's a bit of a cop-out answer, and I'm so sorry, Andy, but I know that Iron Cobra is a pretty much industry standard double bass drum pedal. And as for spring tension, that's really down to preference. I know people who like their springs super loosey-goosey, and then people like me, I like the tension on my kick drum to be hella tight, because a lot of the technique I use for doing doubles and stuff is sort of playing off the bounce and catching the bounce of the pedal. So, hope that answers your question, man. I'm just making sure I haven't missed any comments out here. Yeah, cool. If you guys have got any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and I'll answer them once I've gone through the subscriber questions. We've got one more to go through, and then I'm going to move on to talk about some other stuff that's going on at the moment. Christian says, I use the Tama 900 series Iron Cobra. Yeah, that's the one I meant, actually, I think. Cam assist double bass drum pedal makes doing 300 BPM easy. Nice, 300 BPM, that's mental. John Ace, I've played double bass all my life. Each brand varies. It just depends on what you like. Iron Cobra, DW 5000 or 9000 Axis are awesome. Yeah, man. Personally, I play DW 5000, but it's just the single pedal, and I really like it. So I'm just going to move on to one more subscriber question that was submitted before the live stream. That comes from another long-time subscriber and viewer, which is Ryan Swain. Ryan has asked me, what equipment do I use? And tell us a little bit about your time at BIM. That would be hella cool. So for those who don't know, BIM is a music university all around the UK. Originally, the one in Brighton, it was called the Brighton Institute of Modern Music, hence BIM, but there's loads of them now. I'll answer the first bit first. I think a lot of you actually have been asking me this question in comments and stuff before. So equipment-wise, where do I start? So how about we do kit, cymbals, hardware, sticks? I'll do it in that order. So as for kit, I've been using a Tama Hyperdrive, which is amazing. I love how versatile the kit is. The reason I got it is because before that I had like a rock-size Gretsch Catalina Club, which was a banging kit, but it was a bit of a one-trick pony. It was only really good for playing rock and stuff similar to rock. You know, I had a 22 by 22 massive 2006 emo kick drum, the 16/16 floor, 12 by 8 tom, 14 6.5 snare, so pretty standard rock sizes. But ever since I've been a teacher and been a session player and a function band musician, I needed a kit that could play everything. So I need to be able to play poppier stuff and rockabilly and whatever, blues, pop, you know, I think I said pop, but whatever. I needed a kit that could do all of it. So the Tama Hyperdrive I got for that reason, because it's banging. So the 2 rack toms, you've got the 10 by 6.5, 12 by 7.5, I believe. Those are great. I mainly use the 10, if I'm honest. The 10 is so good. And then the floor toms, you've got a 14 and a 16. So for function stuff, pop stuff, and the lockabillys, I use the 10 and the 14-inch toms. But then when I'm with East Town Pirates and doing stuff way more rocky, I use the bigger ones, so 12 and 16. I love that kit. As for heads, Remo, always used Remo heads. They're just so good. It's the black suede ambassadors on the ambassadors, I can't speak, on the toms. And on the snare, it's one of the new colour tones. It's pretty awesome. I actually got that because Joel has one on his snare, or had one on his snare, and it just sounded great. John says, I love Tamas. I could never afford that brand. Very expensive. I consider them a top brand. Yeah, they are a brilliant brand. And yeah, they are quite expensive. But I bought it secondhand. So much of my gear is bought secondhand. I got it as a bit of a steal. The drum kit was pretty much in brand new condition. And I got it for £300, which is about $400 roughly. About, 320 euros maybe. Yeah, bit of a steal. Hardware. Bit of a mishmash at the moment. I'm in the process of upgrading it all, so all of it is DW, but currently got a DW 3000 hi-hat stand, DW 5000 kick drum pedal. The cymbal stands are all Tama, and my throne is a Gibraltar. Cymbals, all Zildjian, so new beat hi-hats, although I recently upgraded to get some Ks because they're a little bit better for what I play now. 21-inch Sweet Ride, that thing's banging. The 19-inch K-Suite Crash, that thing is just beautiful. That's my main crash. A lot of the time I only use one crash now, so I use that one. And then as for a ride, I've mentioned my ride. Other crashes, I've got a 20-inch Avidis, but I use that as a ride sometimes. I know it's a crash, but it sounds good as a ride because it's super thick and heavy. And then there's a K China, a couple random splashes like an 11-inch Oriental Splash, but I never really use all of it in one go. I just take whatever suits the gig I'm playing. Anything I'm missing? Drumsticks. I've always used ProMark drumsticks. Love ProMark drumsticks. Swear by them. I think they're amazing. They're always brilliant. They work for me, and I use the 5B Pro Round. They're awesome. I've got some here actually. So it's these ones. These sticks are so sick. I love them so much. Let me show you the branding in case you guys want to get on the hype with me. Can you see that? Boom. Yeah, ProMark sticks are rad. I really want an endorsement by them. So yeah, cool. That pretty much answers all the questions. Oh, BIM. Okay, so Ryan asked me to say a little bit about when I was at BIM. So basically BIM is a music university. I went there when I was 20 for 1 year. I was going to do a degree. Long story short, I dropped out because I couldn't afford to finish the degree because it was so expensive. But But I went there to study performance and professionalism, which has really helped now with my career path of being a full-time musician and a full-time drummer. And yeah, it's just been super rad to have all that experience behind me now. Before I went to BIM, I'd never had a drum lesson. I was fully self-taught from about the age of 13 right up to 20. And when I was there, I felt like a small fish in a big pond. Is that the saying? I realised everyone who was surrounding me were just so good, and like the people who were teaching us were world sort of class pros, industry players. You know, people who played for people like Jamiroquai, the Spice Girls, and big pop bands and stuff, all from like the 90s. But these guys knew their stuff, and they were super good. So I took so much away from that. The main things I took away from BIM was just how much hard work you need to put in when you're in a band, how much you need to constantly improve and practice, and just how to be professional. Some of the stuff I talk about in these streams and tutorial videos about how to present yourself at gigs and how to be professional, I learned all of that at university. I mean, the University of Life probably could have taught me a lot of that, but I was really, quite privileged, and I don't take it for granted that I got to go there for a year. It was amazing. And I met my best friends there as well. So my 2 or 3 best friends in the world, still to this day, 10 years later, I met on that course. Yeah, there we go. BIM. Hope that answers your question, Ryan. If anyone's got any questions in the live stream for me, I know we've got John, Christian, Ben, Joel. We've got a few people still tuning in. That's awesome. Anything you want to know, just let me know and I'll go through it. Still really want to know what Green Day song to do. Green Day's the one that I'm struggling to pick the most. I think with Blink, for these new drum covers, I'm definitely either going to do Dumpweed or Reckless Abandon. I just can't pick a Green Day song. They're all just so good. A part of me thought about doing Jesus of Suburbia, but I don't know if you guys will sit through a 9-minute drum cover, especially if an ad pops up in the middle. The last live stream we did was actually announcing the winner of the snare drum. Now, I posted it. The winner was Brendan, if you guys remember, and he lived in the States. So I posted the snare drum here from the UK. It got with him about 3 weeks later, which is awesome. So I was pretty happy, yeah. And he sent me a little message on Instagram saying he's got the drum and he's really happy with it and he's been playing it a lot. So Brendan, if you're watching, man, I hope you're enjoying it. Thanks so much for entering the competition. Hopefully I'm going to do another one. My next big step I'm looking for is 15,000 subscribers. And when we get there, I'm thinking, because I do this full time now, and let's be honest, YouTube ad revenue, I'll be careful what I'll say here. I don't want to get demonetized, but it's great, but it's not amazing. Let's say that, all right? And I do this as a job now, as well as all the teaching and stuff. So I'm thinking if I get to 15,000 subscribers, I might start a Patreon. But I just want to know what you guys think of that. Would you be up for supporting a Patreon, and what sort of like rewards would you want from the different tiers of being a Patreon member? Obviously, it's not going to affect the videos on YouTube. They're always going to remain free for you guys, and I'm still going to carry on doing this. But I'm just trying to look at other ways that I can improve the channel, and if I can, one of the big things is I'd really love to get a permanent studio that I have my drum kit set up in and my recording gear, so I can have way more actual drumming content where it's me behind a kit either giving you a lesson or a drum cover or just some of that drumming goodness that we all like, and probably why most of you subscribe to the channel. So I want to do more of that, but it just might be a group effort. Let me know what you think about that. John says Green Day, Basket Case is always good, Hitchin' a Ride, Nice Guys Finish Last. All of those songs are bangers. They'll all go on the list. Have I thought about going on Twitch? I have, but Twitch is really hard to build a following on, and I'm really lucky to have this little following that I have now on YouTube. We've built up 11,000 subscribers this year, which is amazing, and I really appreciate you guys for subscribing. But I feel like getting into Twitch would be so hard. And I don't know. I feel like it would only work if I had a permanent drum set up and the live Twitch stream is me drumming and you guys firing requests and tutorials at me live. YouTube also has a member service like Patreon. Yeah, you're right, man. I looked into that as well, but I think Patreon might be the way to go. The other drummer says, shameless plug. I've started doing a blog recently covering up and coming recently covering up-and-coming bands from East Anglia. Oh, that's a great idea. On Insta, and link is there. Would be great if you guys could give it a read. Cool, thanks so much, man. I'll check that out. So if you're doing a blog on up-and-coming East Anglian bands, I'm in a few bands, dude, so I'd really appreciate it if you wanted to do a blog about any of the bands I'm in. I'll list them in the comment section for you so you can have a look at the band names. I say up and coming, most of the bands I'm in are like relatively established. But yeah, cool, check them out, dude. So excuse me. Yeah, Patreon. I'm thinking about maybe doing that once we get to like 15,000 subscribers, and it's not going to be for like crazy amounts of money. I was kind of thinking along the lines of like a $1 one, $3, $5, $10, that's it. And then maybe a $25 one, but there's like a load of perks if you do $25 a month, like private one-on-one tuition like over Skype with me once every few months, videos that only the higher tier Patreon people get. But again, it's never going to affect anything that we do on this channel. A lot of YouTubers I follow end up doing Patreon page. It seems to work well for them. Yeah, John, I've noticed that a lot of the pages that I follow have a Patreon, and it's not like just for like, oh, give me your money. You know, this is a job at the end of the day, and when we're creating this stuff for you, we put a lot of time and effort and often money into it, especially with things like drum covers. All right, so drum covers is something I want to be doing a lot more of, like 10 times more. Ultimately, I'd like to be posting at least one drum cover a month, but you know, they cost a lot of money for me to hire a studio and other people to go behind the camera. Then it takes me hours to edit them, and I don't make any ad revenue from drum covers, because when I upload them, obviously the rights holders to the songs monetize the videos and they get it all, which I really agree with, and I'm not complaining of that at all. But one way to make that more beneficial is if we had a Patreon and people were helping support the channel, that money would go into helping me rent the studios and camera guys to make those videos and do more tutorials and stuff where I sit behind the kit. And also just a load of other cool features. I've got loads of stuff in mind, but we can talk about that closer to the time. What else did I want to talk about? There's so much here. New merchandise, we mentioned that at the beginning. So next month I've got the drumming survival kits coming out that I mentioned on the community tab. So the drumming survival kits is this awesome little package I've put together for you guys. There's a really limited quantity. They're going to be available on my merch store soon. And what it is just all the little knickknacks that you lose at gigs and never think to take spares of, all in one convenient little box for you. So you've got backups. There'll be things in there like drum keys, drum gels, felts, wing nuts, tension rods, Sharpies, you name it, it'll be in there. And as well as that, next month as well, when I launch that, I'm going to be doing some winter merch, as I'm calling it, to sound all fancy. But it'll be some hoodies, so some new Rayna Vandel hoodies. Again, that's a massive way you can help support the channel and make sure I can do more of the videos that you guys enjoy. So, you know, like the reaction videos, tutorials, drum covers. Next year, my big goal is to do 10 times more tutorials and drum covers. And a lot more collaborations. I can't wait to do some more videos with Joel. I'm meeting up with Joel next month and we're going to film a load of stuff for you. I think I've gone over everything I wanted to discuss. I can't talk. See, this is where in my video should get a jump cut and I'd edit out myself doing that because I'm just rubbish at talking on camera. This is, I've come to the end of everything I had planned to discuss with you guys, so if you've got any questions or anything you want to know from me, let me know. I'm happy to stick around for a few more minutes and answer your questions and stuff. The other drummer, yeah, I've already done some reviews. I've done some Caswell, amazing. Smoke and Mirrors, amazing. Name loading, planning to do Kilo Down, Salvador and swimsuit competition soon. You can find some real gems. Nice little plug as well. Hopefully people check out your stuff from that, from what you've been saying there. So yeah. Andy Allen, I'm here. Oh, dude, have you just joined us, Andy? Because I answered your questions a little while ago on the stream. So maybe when the stream's finished, you can rewind back to the start and find it. But I answered all of your questions, mate. Thanks so much for submitting them. If you've got any other questions you'd like me to answer right now so I can answer one in real time, then go ahead. How's the stream looking, by the way? We still looking good? If so, I think this is the most successful stream we've ever done. Successfully something I was going to say. But yeah, normally these streams, like, they cut out and then it all goes to John Ace says, tutorials. Since I can't play my kit, I can only practice stick techniques. Always willing to learn new techniques. Awesome. Okay, well, I'm a big advocate, okay, of that. You don't actually need to have a drum kit to practice how to play drums. So I'll keep the long story short, because I've said the story a few times on the channel. But for the first year that I started drumming, I didn't own a drum kit. I just had a pair of drumsticks. And I learned to air drum to all of my favourite songs, just sort of tapping it on my legs and playing an invisible kit in the air drumming. And I learned to try and play the whole American Idiot album in a year. And as a reward, a couple of years later, my parents, for my 15th birthday, bought me my first ever drum kit, really cheap one. And I sat behind the kit and could kind of play, because I'd spent a year just working out what to do and practicing things like paradiddles and double stroke rolls on my legs and a practice pad. So as long as you've got sticks and a surface to hit, you can practice. So in terms of techniques, there's some cool things I can run through with tutorials. Like one thing I've been teaching a lot at the moment in my private lessons is the drop catch or drop snatch technique for double stroke rolls, which is something I learned at BIM. That's awesome. But I want to do a lot more tutorials. So some that are just on practice pads. Like, I really want to redo some of my old tutorials from a couple of years ago, because my filming and video editing was so bad back then. So yeah, just like things like that. Thanks for not selling out and just doing reaction videos. Thank you, man. Like, I'm not sure if that's kind of sarcastic, because obviously there are about 5 reaction videos on the channel. But I do like doing them, and I always try and justify them by, my reaction videos aren't just me like watching people and laughing at them. As I'm a teacher by trade, I sort of watch drumming videos and kind of reflect on them and give feedback for mistakes that I can see people making and how we can stop making those mistakes. And sometimes there are funny things in there, but, you know, like you say, I don't only do reaction videos. Remo and Pearl have awesome practice pads. You're right, actually. So I've got this awesome Remo practice pad, which I got from London Drum Show last year, which is like, it's one of the silent stroke heads on a practice pad, and it's so good. It's what I take to every one of my lessons. Andy says, when I first started playing the drums, I had everything set up wrong, but I have slowly learned. First song I learned was Danger Line by Avenged Sevenfold. Nice, man. Well done. So all these little things, you know, they happen to all of us. Some of the setup we have, like for me, I remember when I first started playing drums, for me it was the tuning, man. The tuning of my kit was so bad. But that just comes with experience. John A says, 20 years of playing and still wanting to learn more. We should always want to learn more. Like, I'm not the best drummer by any means. And if anything, like, I'm a solid 4 out of 10. But I know enough to get by with the jobs that I do and the bands that I play in. But I want to get better. And, you know, the stuff I teach is the stuff I know, and sometimes the stuff that I'm learning. And I just like to share that process with you guys. The other drummer says, learning the drop catch and drags was the bane of my existence back then. So glad I did learn to do it, though. I literally use it all the time. It's so good. Yeah, it's awesome. But it's one of those things, the drop catch technique isn't like, let me get a stick and show you. It's not like you're sitting there and actually just going like, drop, catch. When you're doing doubles at like 120 BPM 16th notes, it just sort of happens, right? You learn to control the bounce of the snare and holding the stick properly. But yeah, I know what you mean. As soon as you master that, it's so good, because before that, everyone's just super rigid and playing from their arms and not from their wrists. John A says, oh god, tuning sucks. That has always been my kryptonite. I'll tell you what, I like to think, excuse me, not to blow my own trumpet, not to play my own drum kit. I'm not the greatest drum tuner in the world, but I think I'm pretty capable of tuning drum toms, and I can normally get whatever snare sound I'm looking for. Like I've recently got that pork pie snare drum, and it's a beast. It just always sounds great no matter how I tune it. Normally it's just cranked hella high. As for my toms, I've got a really specific way I like my toms. So I have my rack tom, so it really sings bing, really nice sustain on it, medium high. But then my floor tom, I like it to basically just be like a second little kick drum. And I've got that tuning dialed in. But as for kick drums, don't get me started. That's my kryptonite, John. I'm rubbish at tuning a kick drum. We can always get better. That's what I mean. There's stuff I need to learn. Sometimes it's just the size of my kick. You know, I try and make a 22 by 20 kick drum sound like a 24 by 14 kick drum, hella punchy, and but it's never going to sound like that because it's so long, and it takes longer for the air to hit the reso head. So you have to have the reso head way tighter, and then you just get a boom. You don't get a nice. Yeah, I'm never going to get that bottom big open punchy kick sound. How do you find your sound when tuning? Do you go by what you hear, or do you use a tune dial or an app? So, I've experimented with different tuning styles over the years. Let's just talk about snares for now. No, let's talk about a rack tom, right? The one thing that everyone does, first of all, you loosen it all off, get it finger tight, just so it's starting to grip, and then you go around in opposites, right? So, or a star pattern, one turn all the way around. Hit it, still sounds like crap. So one more turn, a bit of a tone, but not where you want it. So find one that you like, make them all match. So say your top lug is singing nicely, try and match them all to that. Then go up in half turns until you get the desired pitch you want, and that's how I tune it. As for the reso head of toms, I've got a pretty, you know, open-minded technique with that. I don't really do much to it. Like, I normally loosen it off all the way, finger tight it, one turn, hit the top. If it sounds good, I'll leave it. If not, I'll just slowly tune up that bottom head until it sounds good. Because people forget so much of the sound you're hearing with the tom is actually that resonant head pushing that air and ringing out. As for floor toms, a big tip for floor toms, if you want a really low but not sustainy floor tom, is I tune the batter head as low as it can go, pretty much, before it's no longer a pitch and it's just a then I take it up maybe a quarter of a turn all the way around and put one moon gel or dampener gel on it. Then with the bottom head, I'll turn it off all the way. Like all the way, so it's like not even making a tone, and I'll hear how it sounds. Different floor toms are going to react different ways. If it sounds good for you, leave it. If your drum isn't quite sitting right, take it up a whole turn. That might sound good. And if you're really struggling, put some dampening on the bottom head as well. A lot of people forget you can do that. In fact, I've seen some drum techs who will totally take off the batter head of the floor tom and lay like cotton balls or like rolled up bits of tissue paper inside the drum so they sit on the resonant head. Then you put the top head on and tune as you would, and it kind of just dampens that sustain a little bit from the bottom head, which is awesome. So try that out. That should be pretty good. Is there a type of tuning different for genres of music like jazz and rock? Yeah, totally. So typically jazz tuning, everything's cranked up a lot higher. So your toms will be pretty high, your kick drum will be a lot higher, because you'll often use a bigger beater and you'll just be tickling that kick drum and sort of comping on it, right? So it's got more of a pum pum sound. You don't hear a jazz kit. You'd never hear like a tss, 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 and then underneath like a big stadium rock kit. So normally the kick drums, for example, are tuned a lot higher and played softer for jazz, and then rock is just big and open and fat and low tuning. But for example, funk snare drums are usually hella tight, snare wires loosened off a bit, so you've got all those lovely ghost notes and the crack. It's awesome, man. There's so much cool stuff to do. You should do another You Laugh, You Lose challenge. The fact that you and Joel couldn't even tell the jokes without laughing was so funny. I loved making that video. It didn't get as good a response as I hoped for. It's one of those things where a drumming joke video is super niche, right? I've already got a niche YouTube channel. We just talk about drums and do drum stuff. But doing a You Laugh, You Lose dad joke video only on drum jokes I think it was just like not everyone's cup of tea, but I had so much fun filming it, man. definitely want to do another one with Joel. Man, I'll have to think of some more dad jokes, some more drum jokes. I loved doing that video. John asks, what are your warm-up techniques before a show? So, a lot of the time, I try and do a combination of physical warm-ups, so like actual exercises, and then stuff on a pad. But if I can't do the pad, I make sure to definitely do the physical ones. So I'll try and show you, let me get some sticks. I'll show you some of the warm-ups that I do now, actually. So let me zoom this out a bit. You can see my lovely messy room here. So the first warm-up that I do is I hold, I'm going to have to come out of frame a little bit here. So I hold my drumsticks at arm's length like this. Hopefully you can see it okay. So my shoulder nice and flat. And then I just wiggle them like this. And I usually do it for 10 seconds, keeping my arms straight. And then I'll swap hands and do it the other side. And the reason for that is because it just warms up your wrists and gets your arms flowing, gets the blood pumping. Then I'll do this thing where I kind of like put the sticks behind my back. I don't know if you can see that. My other hand's grabbing it. And then I just sort of pull down. And then you start to feel that here. So it warms up this muscle. Do it both sides. And then just kind of things like that, really. I do like loads of stretches for my wrists, like keeping my... Sorry, that was right in the camera. Keeping my wrists really stretched out. That's the physical stuff like that, just to make sure that all my joints and my limbs are ready to get an exercise, because it's exercise, right? You've got to look at this like you're going to the gym, or the way I say it. So when people ask me about these exercises, is someone who's like a runner, okay? So someone who does like sprinting, right? They're not just going to go to the track one day and just do nothing and then sprint 100 meters. They're going to warm up first, do some jogs, do some stretches. You need to get warmed up. So it's the same with drumming. Drumming is super duper physical. Super duper. Sorry, you're not like 5. But you need to warm up, really, because otherwise you're just going to get tired and cramp up. As for stuff that I do on the pad, it's quite hard for me to show you right now because I don't have a practice pad to hand. But I'll explain it to you if you like. So what I do, John, is on my practice pad, I set a metronome up around about 90 BPM and then increase it up to like 100, 120, 130. I'll do 16th notes. So semi-quavers, I always speak in American terms. So 16th notes, 1E under, 2E under, 3E under, 4E under, unaccented, right? So all the notes are the same volume, 1E under, 2E under. Then what I start doing is I'll accent the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4 like this. 1E under, 2E under, 3E under, 4E under. Then the next time I accent the E of the 16th notes, 1E under, 2E under, 3E under, 4E under. Then the and, 1E under, 2E under, 3E under, 4E under. Then the 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and Then I'll cycle through them. So I do the beat 1 is the accenting the 1, beat 2 is the E, beat 3 is the and beat 4 is the So 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and But it's done a lot faster, obviously, with the sticks on a pad, and I try and just get faster and faster with it, and it just gets my brain thinking. It's like a puzzle, essentially. So that's cycling through them if you're doing 1 bar each, but then if you're doing it so each of the 16th note groupings changes the accent, it would be 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and So faster. Sorry if that sounds absolutely horrible through your headphones and through your speakers, through the mic. But yeah, that's what I do. That's my warm-up, essentially. I normally do that, and then I'll switch it. So instead of doing that as single stroke, I should have said that really, that's all single stroke roll. I'll then switch to doing it as double stroke rolls and then do it as paradiddles with the same accent. So hopefully that helps, John. I'm actually going to be doing a video on that. I've got a previous video, but I'm going to update it and make it more fresh. My pink light behind me is dying, so I'm going to pretty much end the stream probably before we get to 1 hour, if that's okay, guys. Do you think that Carter, the drummer for the Dave Matthews Band, is phenomenal? I'll be totally honest with you, I'm not massively familiar with their playing, but what I have heard from the Dave Matthews Band, if it's that same drummer, then hell yeah. super good drummer. I think, you know, if you're playing for Dave Matthews, if you're playing in that band, I mean, yeah, you've got to be pretty on it, dude. So I'm going to start rounding up the live stream now. So just while I'm rounding it up, if you've got any last minute questions for me, feel free to just fire them over. But I'm going to do a super quick recap of everything that we've discussed for anyone who has only recently joined in. So first of all, I'm going to be doing 2 new drum covers before the year is over, just so I haven't missed out this year, because I realised I haven't done any yet. I'm going to be doing a Green Day track and a Blink-182 track. You guys can feel free to send me suggestions over on Twitter or Instagram or in the comment section. That would be rad. I've got new merch coming for you next month. So we've got the Drummer Survival Kits, which are some kits I've made which have everything you need as a spare to take to a gig to put in your stick bag. And I'll have hoodies coming also. What else is there? Brendan, the winner of the competition, finally got his snare drum. My next goal is to hit 15,000 subscribers, and I am gonna try and start a Patreon when I get to that, if you guys want to support me. And then we went through some subscriber questions too. So next time I do a live stream, look out for the community tab page on my Instagram and everything, because I'll put a feed out saying, hey, look, I'm going to do a live stream. Have you got some questions for me? So I'll answer a few more just before I go. So Third says, do I have a favourite drum brand? Okay, so let's tackle this quickly. I'll do favourite drum brand, favourite cymbal brand, favourite stick brand, okay? Favourite drum brand, I can't choose. There's so many good ones. Different brands of kits have different positive points and different pros and cons. Personally, I love my Tama drum kit, and I also love my pork pie snare drum, so I'll say that's my favourite for now. Cymbals, I've always been a Zildjian guy, absolutely love Zildjian. Drumsticks, Promark, love them. Drum heads, Remo, I love them. Hardware, DW, Tama, Gretsch, it's all Gibraltar, it's all banging. Yeah, hopefully that answers the question. If there's anything I'm missing, let me know. Andy says, are you planning on doing any drum collaborations? Yes, I am. In fact, next year I'm planning to do a whole series of covers or just drum collaborations where I've got all of my local drummer friends, and we'll be doing a load of like dual covers. So it's 2 of us playing for each song. Totally my favourite cymbals are Sabian, and I like Ludwig. Both awesome brands. Christian says, till next time, old son. Thanks for tuning in, dude. So yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in, really. This has been the most successful live stream in terms of it not cutting out and lagging and being terrible. So yeah, thanks so much for coming along to watching today. I really appreciate it. I try and do one of these live streams at least once a month. There's no video this Friday, which is one of the reasons I did the live stream today. But as of next week, we're back on our regular program. Going to be doing those 2 new drum covers soon, so make sure to give me some suggestions. I look forward to seeing you guys in a live stream soon. What else have we got to say? If any of you guys have got gigs this month or this weekend, whenever, hopefully if you got gigs, hopefully it goes well. If you need any tips on stuff to take to your gigs, I recently did a stick bag video which will help you with that, and also some videos on tackling nerves and stage fright. So hopefully that all helps. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Someone might beat me to this in the comments like they usually do, but as per usual, whatever you're doing today, go out and smash it. I'm going to knock the thing.